We got breaking news out of Major League Baseball where Paul Goldschmidt has agreed to a one-year, $12.5 million deal with the Yankees. That has been confirmed by our Jim Bowden. The all-star first baseman spent the last 6 years in St. Louis, tallying 22 homers this past season. He'll join a Yankees team that has been quite active this offseason. They signed Max Fried. They traded for Devin Williams and Cody Bellinger. We had another trade as well where they traded Jose Trevino for Fernando Cruz and Alex Jackson. So the Yankees trying to get it done in 2025. For more on the trade, we bring in our MLB insider, Jim Bowden. Jim, walk us through how we got here with Paul Goldshmidt, now a Yankee.
Yeah, Haley, all of the pieces fit perfectly, right? So once they lost out on Juan Soto, they went to get Max Fried, who was the #1 free agent on their list. So he goes to the rotation. Then they make the trade for Devin Williams to give themselves an impact closer. Matter of fact, the best closer they've had since Mariano Rivera. And then they made the trade for Cody Bellinger. Well, all of those moves basically blew by the budget. So they didn't have enough money in the budget to make a big move, say, for a Pete Alonso or a Christian Walker. So instead, they identified Paul Goldschmidt, who, by the way, is 37 years old. Age and decline is catching up on him. But this is a leader. He's a plus defender at first base. He's going to fit the bottom of that lineup in the 6 or 7 spot extremely well. They love his leadership skills, and they love the fact he's on a one-year deal. Now, why is that important? Because free agents like Kyle Tucker and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. are two players they're going to have interested next offseason. So they wanted to keep flexibility. Had they signed, for example, Christian Walker at 34 years old, they would have had to give him the 3-year deal that Houston did. So instead, they're like, you know what, let's do a 1-year deal on Goldie. Let's keep our flexibility open for next year's free agent market and let that leader come in to replace Anthony Rizzo. So it's a fit that works absolutely perfectly for them, Haley.
So just looking big picture here, Jeb, because I'm new to baseball, but I have learned that Yankees fans are insatiable when it comes to talking about winning a World Series. They were this close this past season, Jim, with the Goldschmidt signing, along with what they've already done as we take a look here at the notable offseason additions for New York. How close are they to getting back to that championship, and how can these guys be impact players for the Yankees?
Haley, I'm going to argue this is a better baseball team than the one we had last year. I think when you look at adding Bellinger, Goldschmidt, Fried, and Williams, those are 4 huge pieces. Now, don't get me wrong. I mean, Juan Soto is a generational player, and to have him and Judge, those two guys carry this offense. But you can win in different ways, and I would argue that this is actually a better team. I think the starting rotation will be better come October. The bullpen is going to be stronger. And look, I think Cody Bellinger and Paul Goldschmidt both have enough left to help make up, at least for the power that they're losing with Juan Soto. But Haley, they can't be done because Gleyber Torres is a free agent. They have a hole at second base, so I wondered what they're going to do next. So I contacted Aaron Boone, the manager of the New York Yankees, to ask him that question. And he said right now he's leaning on moving Jazz Chisholm from third base to second base to replace Torres. And then he's going to give Cabrera and LeMahieu a chance to kind of platoon at third base. Basically what they're saying is now they're out of money. And so the pieces are all fit, but that last piece on the infield means the Jazz goes to second. Cabrera and LeMahieu are going to try to take over third base. But we know the Yankees, because if that doesn't work and a better opportunity comes around, we all know they'll make that one more move like they always do, Haley.
Just a little bit of musical chairs there to figure it out until the finances get lined up there. Hey, Jim, and I know we talked before we came up, but Nolan Arenado has been a name that's been floating around within the Yankees organization. You told us that there's no truth to that report of him being a Yankee. Just could you expand a little bit on what we're looking at with Nolan Arenado, the third baseman?
Yeah, the Yankees were never really in on Arenado outside of the fact that they offered Marcus Stroman to the Cardinals. In other words, bad contract for bad contract. And the Cardinals said, we had no interest in Stroman. So that situation came and went. Arenado is not going to be the next solution for the New York Yankees in the infield, as I just said. But the only truth to that rumor was that, hey, if you take the bad contract of Stroman, we'll take the bad contract of Arenado. The Cardinals said thanks, but no thanks. And that happened a couple of months ago. It actually happened before the winter meetings.
Yeah, it's just always a little bit of telephone. You got to decide if it works best for us and what works best for you. I do not envy any of those front office managers having to deal with building a roster. We continue that conversation, though, with the Yankees, Jim, because it seems like the first baseman spot, the market for that position really drying up, except for the polar bear. Pete Alonso in high demand. We know what he is capable of on the diamond, Jim. What's the latest you're hearing with Pete Alonso?
Yeah, Haley, I think the Boras Corporation's overplaying their hand with Pete Alonso. There's no market for him. Houston ends up signing Christian Walker to that 3-year, $60 million deal on Friday. Now the New York Yankees signed Paul Goldshmidt to that 1-year, $12.5 million deal. The only other team that really needs a first baseman at this point, besides the Mets, are the Seattle Mariners. And I'm told they are not playing on Alonso because they just don't have the resources to sign him. So if I'm the Boras Corporation, I'm Pete Alonso, I'm going to put my tail between my legs, go back to the Mets and say, I accept the last offer you put on the table. I am going to be shocked and surprised and stunned if the polar bear doesn't end up going back to the Mets, and sooner rather than later. I don't think he has any options at this point, and I think the Mets are the best option, and he's going to have to take less money. Now the question's going to be, does Alonso want a long-term contract with the Mets? Does he want to take their last offer, or does he want to do what a lot of Boras clients do, which is take a 2-year deal with an opt-out and go back on the market next offseason so you and I, Haley, can talk about it again next year?
Exactly. It never ends. It's just cyclical, especially when you think about spring training literally being around the corner. Our Jim Bowden keeping us up to date with all the latest in the MLB, including this breaking news. Paul Goldschmidt officially a New York Yankee. Unfortunately, it does not move the needle in terms of the Yankees being the favorite to win the World Series. They currently have the second shortest odds at plus 750. It is the Dodgers who are favorited here at plus 320 to repeat as champions.